Well, it's great to have you on again, Olivia.
It's
And
great to see you too.
everybody
Great to
that
be
doesn't
here.
know, this is Olivia from Via Frequency, the YouTube channel, YouTube, TikTok. You're in a bunch of places, right?
YouTube and TikTok.
YouTube and TikTok. Okay. Speaking of which, did that get you a little squirrely last year or early part of this year with the whole? I mean, it's still kind of like an unknown, right? Coming into like what's going to happen on that platform, whether or not they keep punting it and extending it. What are your feelings
Mhm.
about that?
Yeah, it's really interesting because there was a period there going into 2025, I think it was, or several months ago,
Hmm.
when everybody was freaking out. I mean, every single video on the feed was about the shutdown, the shutdown.
Yeah.
So for a little while, I think it was maybe a day or two, we did lose access to the platform. And I think that everybody just sort of thought, oh, well, this is it. But it didn't last, obviously, and everybody was able to sign on again. And then for a little while there, actually, people were moving over to this other social media app. I think it was called Redbook or
Okay.
Red
Yeah.
something. It was a Chinese social media app.
Yep.
Um, and I think like the company was hoping that it was going to be the new TikTok or replace TikTok. And I don't think the US traditionally had access to that platform. I
Mm.
don't know exactly how it worked, but I logged on a couple times. I struggled to get used to it. And
Hmm.
then TikTok was back. So
Yeah.
I have no idea how it's going to turn out. I'm just sort of taking it day by day. It would
Yeah.
be unfortunate after like all this time to lose it, but I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, well, the challenge too is that people spent so much time building a brand on the platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The issue is that it's a Chinese national company. So
Absolutely.
of course the US government's not going to get access to whatchamacallit, the back end of it and to be able to pierce through. I mean, because they have that with TikTok. They have that with Facebook. They have that with YouTube. There's all these agreements with all that stuff. And that's one platform that they really can't control. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's part of the problem. So
Exactly.
the spinoff and what I've heard, and it could have changed because I don't follow it close enough because I still don't have the greatest following on that platform. But the whisperings I've heard are that they're going to create an Americanized version of the platform
Mm.
and kind of migrate to that. But I think inherently what you're going to end up losing is everything that makes TikTok TikTok by doing that, because that algorithm, the way that they work it, is very unique to their business model. You know what I mean? So
I completely agree.
I don't know, because we get stuff from around the world that most news media and news outlets kind of suppress. I'll
Absolutely.
I'll get French protests that are like hundreds of thousands of people in the street,
Mhm.
and I don't see that on my local news or my news feeds. They don't encourage seeing dissent. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to make this a political podcast by any means, but there's political motivations as to why it'll stick around or it'll morph into something else, right? So
Definitely. It's so true. I mean, the algorithm is so different from, say, Instagram. I'm not on Instagram, so
okay.
I used to be, but I just don't really have like an active account over there. So the algorithm itself is so different, but also the access that you
Mm.
have to other countries and other people. And I feel like it's so much more connective than some
Hmm.
of these other platforms. Connective and also it's so true about the news. The availability of the news is a lot less censored.
Hmm.
So I feel like that's obviously going to be a threat. And there's a sort of power struggle over the app now. But
Yeah.
I do feel I heard the rumor, or maybe it's already in the works, about an Americanized form of TikTok too. But I feel like the algorithm is definitely going to be sacrificed in some way, or at least
Yeah.
highly edited.
Yeah. That would be unfortunate, and it'd
Yeah.
defeat the purpose of doing it at all. And then obviously creators like yourself and myself and anybody else out there that relies on a platform like that it's gonna seek it elsewhere. You know?
Mm.
Um,
Absolutely. I feel like we need to make our own platform.
yeah, yeah, for
You
real.
know, I just feel like these massive platforms hold all the power. And I mean, they're amazing for us, but we just don't have a lot of like, what if one of them were to go down, or two of them, or three of them, and your entire brand, your life, everything you've worked toward, your foundation is all sitting there.
Hmm.
it's not a very secure feeling. And also, like, when you know that you're actively being either like suppressed or censored in some way, it's crazy. I mean, those are the times we're in, unfortunately,
Hmm.
but it doesn't really leave much like security for people and
No,
creators.
no, definitely not. And I think to your point, it's an interesting thing. We get so entrenched in these different social media platforms. People have to remind themselves or be reminded that they can come and go. They're free for a reason. It's because you and me are the product. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We're the product. Yeah, we're the
Mm-hmm.
ones. We're the information that's being sold. We're the ones that, I mean, they listen. I don't have my phone in front of me, but they listen constantly, and that's why these ads pop up, and you're like, "Are you in my head?" No, you
Literally.
you
That
literally
happens to me
like,
all the time.
yeah, you go onto a web page or something, you get an interest in something, do a Google search, and
Mhm.
automatically you're just like, "Why is this showing up in my?" Yeah, I mean, we're the product, right? And I think it speaks to this. The fact that you have an email list is so vitally important. I mean, people are like, "Ah, email's dead." The millennials and Gen Z, they don't do email or whatever. It's still like the foundational way to communicate. Like it still bridges that gap. It's still the way that you reset passwords. It's all that, right?
Mhm.
So that's actually something I'm planning on doing next year, is to start taking my contacts, yourself included, and everything, and just building an email list and just being like, hey, this is an addition to my social media. It's a way to stay connected, and various levels of communication. I'm not going to spam people, but it's just like, keep people updated with what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great idea. And I just always remember when I first started, not when I first started, but like a year or two into being on social media, I was going through this course, just trying to learn how to like operate these platforms and stuff. Because before I actually came on YouTube, I'd actually taken maybe like a 6 year, 5.5, 6 year break from all social media.
Oh, no kidding.
Absolutely. Like I was off of all of these platforms and it sort of felt like dipping my toe in the water of this massive ocean that I felt so disconnected from. And like I didn't know how to do anything really. I just felt really out of touch. And I'll always remember one of my mentors at the time saying, people are going to tell you that email's dead, but you need an email list for this exact reason,
Yeah.
because at any moment when we least expect it, all of this could be gone. So
Hmm.
it's really, really important. And I've understood that. And like I definitely want to do more in terms of like developing my email list, because I only have so much time right now that I can dedicate to it.
Hmm.
I think that's an awesome idea for you too. Anything that we can do to stay connected with our people and our communities and this and that, that's not just reliant on these major platforms, is so, so, so important.
Well, I can tell you this much. Yours are infrequent enough that it doesn't feel spammy, but
Hmm.
frequent enough that a couple times a month I get an update from you. And if I haven't gone to your YouTube channel in a while, I'm like, hey, that's Olivia. Oh, what's she got
Hmm.
to say? And I'll take the time to read it, because it's the right frequency. I mean, that pun intended. So,
No,
I
you love
didn't really
that.
mean to do that, but I did. I did. But the right frequency of emails that it's going to engage your audience, the folks that follow what you're doing, but
Hmm.
not bombard people with so much information. Because I mean, think about it. Our time is so limited. We're the 3-second scroll society now, and the fact that anything comes through that warrants a little bit of extra attention just is
Hmm.
it's a testament to like, surgically, whether you meant that or not, it works. So at least for me, that frequency makes it possible to stay connected and everything without it being too much, because there's
Right.
there's some creatives that I've followed before, and I really liked their content, but they would just boom, 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 and I'm just like, you're creating the wrong signal. You're creating the wrong message here. Now you're
Hmm.
just kind of driving your brand down my throat, and that's not the point. The point is to stay relevant and kind of, hey, I'm here if you need me. You know, just reminding you I'm here, and here's a little something that might add some value to you. And even if this is getting a little too frequent, you can always opt out down here, no problem. Which I think some of those people, even, they don't do that properly. Some people don't do that properly, and they have to. I think it's a web 3.0 requirement or whatever. Like, you can't be on an email list and not give people a way to opt out.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I've always felt this sort of like this dichotomy between what you're supposed to do. Like there's all these unwritten rules, like you should send X amount of emails out or multiple emails a week or to stay in touch. And the thing is for me, like I know that if somebody's sending me 4 or 5 emails a week, like I'm definitely unsubscribing or I'm sending it to some other no name email address that maybe I check like once in a while. So like I used to send one weekly email and there were a couple weeks where I'd send two, but just for the sake of time and everything, I've been sending like maybe like 3 to 4 a month. And
Hmm.
I always hear that in my head, like, oh, you should send more emails, you should send more emails. But you know what? Like there's a rhythm that sort of comes naturally to these things sometimes.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm trying to listen to more in every area of my life. And like getting into that rhythm. And maybe you're right. Like maybe just sprinkling them in when the time feels right is the best way to go about it. And just sort of like listening to that natural rhythm more. Because usually that doesn't lead me astray.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do that with my blog updates too. I got that addition to my website around May, June this year.
Awesome.
And on the website it says like every Friday, but it doesn't really happen every Friday. Like if I don't have something to say or something to promote or an update to give, I won't just do something to do it. In fact, even with the podcast, I try to do it once a week, but sometimes I find myself even bringing Tom on and talking on different subjects. If not enough has happened, I'll do a like in football, a bye week, right? Where I literally just we'll catch you in 2 weeks as opposed to one because I don't have any value to add. And I don't want to.
I was
I
going
don't
to
want.
ask you what a bye week is.
Well, yeah. The only reason I know that is because I had a brother that was really into football and some other
Gotcha.
people I worked with. I don't follow sports at all.
I definitely don't. So
Yeah.
I can't speak the language.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the only thing I know a handful of things that won't get me in trouble at like a gathering. I talk
Hmm.
just enough to get myself, into the conversation. I can let the rest of them talk.
Hmm. I
Like
love it. I'm
just
completely illiterate in that department. So,
just enough to not be socially awkward around people
right, right,
talking about sports. You know what I mean? Try to bridge those gaps, right?
right.
But yeah, that's a real thing because I think that's just after the first of the year. So just after the holidays,
Hmm.
there's going to be a trigger point. And here's
Right.
the thing: I think that the figure in the U.S., the money generated by content creators in the U.S. is something that's, I think it's tens of billions, something ridiculous like that.
Wow.
And like a lot of this surged during and after COVID. People
Hmm.
decided to walk away from jobs or walk away from things they didn't want to do anymore and literally build this business, this life around this platform. And I think they realized like we're going to decimate the economy if we do this. So until we can figure out exactly how to make this work in a way that suits us, but also doesn't take the livelihoods away from all these people, we're gonna keep punting it and keep making threats, and it'll eventually, I think, work itself out. I just think there's too much economics buried into it, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And I haven't even really kept up with the latest. So
Mm,
I'm going to have to look into it. I didn't realize the deadline was coming up so quick again.
yeah,
I just haven't been following it
but it's been extended at least like I think it's like 3 or 4 times this
so
year.
many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Why when somebody brings it up now, I almost like don't take it seriously because
right, right.
it's okay, this again, is it really going to happen? Is it just going to be pushed forward? And probably one of these times something is going to happen. So
Yeah,
it's probably wise to like get on the track of at least following it. But I just feel kind of out of the loop with it.
yeah. I mean, your channel would probably do well to pivot to like Instagram Reels or something. I know you said that
Mhm.
you're not really on there. You don't really have a presence on there, but the shorts that you have I think would do very well on there. You know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that for sure. You're on Instagram, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And by extension from Facebook, because I kind of made that my foundation. YouTube,
Uh-huh.
Facebook, Instagram has been pretty much my foundation, and I'm doing more with TikTok now than I've ever done, and YouTube's a little more consistent now. But the problem with my YouTube channel is that YouTube and its algorithm doesn't understand what I am, and rightly so.
Um,
I've got long form format, I've got short form format. I
mhm.
have music promotion stuff. I have the podcast. I have demo videos where I'm actually in the studio doing stuff so I can show people
Right.
behind the scenes. So
Cool.
my channel's kind of kitchen sink, right? And they don't really like that. They like it when you specialize, like you're like hyper focused on something and
Niche
surgical.
down.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, well, I don't want to freaking do that. So, so I guess mine has to happen organically, and it's not um not algorithmically, you know. People are going to like it because they like all the things that I'm doing and the value that I add. Either that or I have to redo a channel all over again because
I like that though. I like that fusion of I know that my personal, preference doesn't matter, but I think it's nice to be able to have all of these different perspectives hosted in one place.
mm,
So it's unfortunate that the algorithm isn't necessarily acknowledging that, but also I was just reading, I think I might have mentioned this to you in an email, but I was just reading one of somebody that I know, one of my friends, I went on his podcast a couple times, and
hmm
he had made a post on YouTube and wrote that basically like so many content creators are just not getting picked up by the algorithm right now.
yeah.
And I'm wondering if there wasn't some sort of algorithmic shift not too long ago, because maybe like earlier this year, because I definitely noticed a shift in my own videos and like the visibility. But also, I think a lot of other people like just are not getting the views that they used to,
Mm.
or being pushed out even to their own subscribers and like notifications and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if this isn't like a bigger
Oh,
something
like a bigger
going.
picture thing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe something going on. I know on TikTok, for example, like it's very obvious when the algorithm is having like a very large shift, because my views go way down. I notice like engagement goes down, or it just shifts, like, and everybody starts talking about the algorithm shift. I'm not as close in touch with that on YouTube, just because I don't really watch like a lot of short form content. So I don't know if people talk about that and whatnot. But I also noticed that earlier this year, like I use vidIQ to measure keywords and stuff like that.
I definitely want to hear more about that when you're finished. So go on.
Totally,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. It's something that I use just for keywords. So like I'm not utilizing it in the way that it's meant to be utilized, but I do use it for keywords. And I used to get all of these hits on great topics that I would think of, and then I would just go in there and find the best keywords to put in the tags and then
Okay.
come up with the like respective title for the video. And at the beginning of this year, something totally shifted, and I thought that vidIQ just wasn't working for a while. And I thought, oh, maybe they're having an error with their software or something,
Mm.
but it never came back. So now when I go to type in all of the keywords that I want to use, there's very few that actually register as good for the algorithm, or like there's like a meter. They go from red to green in terms of not visibility, but like how good they are, how
Yeah.
optimized they would be. And ever since then, it's very, very hard to find good targeted keywords to include in my videos and to describe my videos. Like something completely shifted at the beginning of
Wow.
2025. And I don't know what that is, but now I sort of feel like when I'm doing the keywords, I'm just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what's going to stick, because I have
Yeah.
no like measure of what's going to work and what's not. So it's really like, for me, it's forced me to be much more like organic in terms of like my titles and stuff like that, and just
hmm
sort of go with my gut, or the way that I can best put it together. But I don't know. Like I do feel like there has been some sort of algorithmic change.
Yeah. I think 24 in fall of 2024, there was a major platform shift. Like they did a
Mhm.
huge platform change, and a bunch of content creators around that time talked of it, spoke about it.
Mhm.
And that was interesting. And I understand it. I understand it from a platform's perspective. What ends up happening is there's a very large percentage of content creators that legitimately want to build a brand and want to build their audience
Mhm.
and are doing all the things. They're subscribing to a service like vidIQ, optimizing keywords, making the file names the right file names so that it shows up in a Google search properly. Like all these
Mhm.
different things. Like even the thumbnail, I've heard that even the thumbnail file titles can affect your searchability.
I
Like
just heard that too.
yeah. So it's
Mhm.
crazy the things that like contribute, that those little nuances will contribute to. But then what happens is a handful of nefarious people try to game the system, and they use those to the end of gaining as much of the attention as possible and gaming the system. And so the platforms have to constantly pivot because they're like, okay, you're being unjustly enriched on this platform because you found a loophole, you're getting a lot of traffic, a lot of these people don't even want your stuff, and in order for us to curate a platform where people are getting what they want and what they're interested in, we have to stop the ability for the algorithm to allow you to game the system. So then they have to shift, and then everybody has to change their direction, right? And it's a lot of it is about that. Or maybe less likely is that the algorithm itself and the change that they made to it isn't as effectual as they thought it was going to be. So they let it sit and let it basically cook on the internet for a little while, and it's not doing the work that it's supposed to do. So they have to make an algorithmic change so that it's doing the thing it's supposed to do. But I think it's more like the former. It's more the former than anything else, because people will flat out game the system, bot watches, all sorts of things like that. Farms in third world countries that have a wall of cell phones, all of them making comments on things, and let's face it, there are high level brands that do that and get away with it. And,
Oh, absolutely.
I've, in a couple of my most recent podcasts, I've talked about the very negative perception I have of the Spotify platform and how I will likely be pulling my entire catalog from that platform in the first quarter next year.
Really?
Yeah.
For this reason, or?
For the reason that they are not really a platform that supports the independent musician. They claim to be. They claim to have paid out, billions in royalties, blah, blah, blah. But the platform was founded in such a way that even in the beginning, at the onset, the royalties were compromised by equity shares to like Warner and Sony Music and all that. They all got a piece of the action from the beginning, before it even went public. And in doing so, they made a compromise as far as what the royalty share was going to be for paid out to the individual artists. And I mean, making a third or a fourth of a cent on a spin is nothing.
Insane.
It's nothing. And now there's restrictions on that. If your tracks have less than 1,000 spins on the platform, you don't get paid a dime. So,
Really?
I mean, it's not really doing for my catalog because mine's so unique. It's production music. So it's not always something that somebody goes out and listens to for fun. It's more or less it's something you're going to put in the background.
So you have to reach a threshold to even qualify for monetization in terms of a certain amount of plays and stuff like that?
They changed it either earlier this year or in 2024, I think it was. I make far more money on Facebook, Instagram than I make on there,
Was there a platform that was boycotted or that was talked about as for this type of thing in terms of for musicians in the past few years? Was that Spotify, or am I confusing that with something else?
It's had some negative press. There's also been issues where a lot of musicians, because they needed to gain some following and gain some viewership and some listens, would hire a marketing promotional company or campaign, or like somebody on Fiverr to do a campaign that promised it to be all organic, blah, blah, blah. Spoiler alert, it never is. It's never organic. It's all bot farms. It's all that stuff. And the platform understands that and understands that like organically or there's some kind of system in the background that can sense that can sense that it's not, these aren't real listens, these aren't real spins. And then they can just pull your music from the platform or,
Really?
remove an entire album or whatever tracks that are guilty of doing that. And then guilty of having the promotions on there and pull that. But then there's a lawsuit out there against the platform because apparently Drake got away with doing that.
Really?
And yeah. I mean,
Well,
I don't have proof of it, but that's what was said. Basically, that's the allocation. The allegation rather is that that's what's going on.
I feel like there must be so much of that going on these days. And I was listening. I've heard it talked about in like some music. I actually listen to a lot of hip hop, and they talk about that, like paying for your, for your listens and everything. And I'm just thinking like, so I wonder if that's just another loophole that's constantly being expanded or transformed. Like are artists like inauthentically, how can I say this?
Yeah, they're exploiting the system, right?
Exploiting the system. Yeah. Basically like exploiting the system. And like the algorithm is just trying to catch up to all the new ways that the system's being exploited. Like, I
Yeah.
wonder how much that actually influences an artist's reach and influence. It must be a pretty big deal these days in terms of these mainstream
Yeah,
artists.
it's got to be, because it used to be that terrestrial radio was where it was at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in some respects it still is. But what you would do is you'd release a single. And I only know this because the law firm I used to work at, we managed a couple of independent country music artists,
Oh,
and
wow.
the promotion behind it and the amount of money required behind it to get people to know who the hell you are is
Mm-hmm.
staggering when you're talking about a real person that tours and, you know, has a band and has performances and everything else. So you come into a town, usually the morning of the night that you're going to perform, and you have appearances on one or a number of radio stations, and they're in a lot of cases they're pay to play. So like you're literally
Mm-hmm.
like showing up and you're doing a promotion, and to get on the radio, like there's fees here, fees there, and like nothing about what you listen to on the radio is an accident. Like that's all engineered. It's not just something that showed up because people were into it and they took a chance and spun something on the radio. No, all that's been engineered and, you know, custom catered to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to hear real independent music, you need to listen to a college radio station at 2 in the
Right.
morning. You know what I mean? Where some kid is spinning like the latest and greatest person out there. I mean, that's how I learned about all my fun music in the 90s. You know, I actually
Mhm.
did a radio station, you know, an overnight with a buddy of mine for a summer in Yukon at stores. And
Oh, really?
yeah, it was
Oh,
a
wow.
blast. You know, I mean, I fell asleep at the wheel a couple of times, which is not intelligent, but trying to burn the candle at all ends. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
working 3 jobs and doing an overnight once a week. It's like, nah, your body's gonna tell you no.
Right. No, I can imagine for sure.
But I
Wow.
mean, the music I was exposed to, I would never have heard on traditional terrestrial radio. You know what I mean? And I think there's such a gatekeeping world we live in now when it comes to music and the major platforms that, you know, people are going to, like, major studios are going to gain the system, and they're just going to, yeah, we're going to throw a bunch of advertising dollars at it, and this is what's going to be in your face, you know?
Mm.
So,
Yeah, whenever I turn on which I really don't, like if I get in the car and the radio's on or something, first of all, I always hear the same song over and
mhm.
over and over. Or like, let's say I'm in my mom's car, like she's always has the radio on, and I swear it's always the same song. They're so overplayed, but also I just feel like the traditional radio, it doesn't feel authentic to me because
Mm,
it's so crafted, and it probably is all pay for play. You know, I just, unless you're looking to listen to like a very small range of music,
mhm.
um, even it's just not worth it for me personally. But also to even make it on the radio, like you need so much backing,
Yeah.
and it's just not even like a feasible opportunity for smaller independent artists. And I mean, that's like every artist's dream, right, to be on the radio. But
Yeah.
in the way that our system is these days, it just seems like so manufactured. Everything is so manufactured
Yeah.
in terms of monetarily and everything these days.
Yeah, it's a frustrating struggle for sure, especially considering like trying to expand a body of work and get it into
Hmm.
people's faces. So this year, you know, this year the biggest goal for me was to get past that threshold, right? To get to 1,000. And
Hmm.
it was just this psychological number that I'm like, okay, I'll have arrived in the royalty free space if I have a 4-digit catalog, you know, and on that journey, I'm going to write a bunch of things. Not everything's going to be a banger, but like I'm going to write a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to get a lot of experience in doing it. So this year, Olivia, I wrote like 275 tracks. That's how I got to 1,000.
So you
And
are at 1,000 then?
yeah,
Because I think when I spoke to you last, you were almost there, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So you
yeah.
made
So,
it.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you.
Ah,
Actually,
how does it feel?
it, you know, because, and I'm really not trying to be all spiritual guru about this at
Mhm.
all, but it's going to come across that way a little bit because I focus on the journey a lot in my content and a lot in the things that I talk about and the way that I convey who I am, who the people I talk with, and, you know, the personalities and the philosophies that a lot of people that I care about and interact with have a similar philosophy. honestly love the fact that I've reached that point, but it's just one more song because to me, I'm going to write music until I die. And that could mean I have another 1,000 in me, 2,000, 3,000. I don't know. We'll see how long I can keep myself on this planet. But, this is we're only a spiritual being having a dream, right? So,
Absolutely.
so
No, that's so real. I love that it's just like the journey for you. That's true. Like even when most people reach a big milestone or manifestation, like it might be glittery and vibrant and glowy for a little bit. You might have like all of the emotions and the hormones going, but
yeah,
after a little while, like you realize that, oh, it's on to the next thing.
yeah,
And you're doing something that you absolutely love and that you feel like it fulfills you and it moves you and it pulls you from within. So I think that's beautiful.
yeah, yeah. Thank
And
you.
it's true, like any milestone is just going to be another like notch
Yeah.
or.
Each track feels like a destination, right?
Mhm.
Each album compilation, each single, in fact, to limp into 1,000, I was like, "Ugh, I can't do it. I literally had published Olivia like 140 tracks in 60 days. And I'm like, I don't have another compilation in me. Like it's going to break
Mhm.
me. I'm like, okay, you know your limits, you know that you're reaching the end of it, and you know you're going to take a break after this, and you deserve it. So what can you do? And I'm like, I need 3. I'm like, give yourself permission to release singles. You don't normally do that, but go ahead and release 3 singles. Find 3 things you can finish, polish, master, and get out there, and release those. And I was like, okay, I can live with that. I
Well,
can live with that.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that was on a Saturday after like a week or so of me being kind of in limbo. And I'm like, if I stall too long, I'm not going to want to do it and I'm not going
Mhm.
to finish. And I'm like, I've got over a month. I got to get this done, So
When
that
did you actually cross the finish line?
days before the end of November, it's like the 20th, I think, November 20th,
Yeah.
just before the weekend, just before I went up to Orlando for a few days. And then I came back with a head cold, which I still have. So,
Oh.
so well, I don't know if I got
Did
that
you
because
celebrate?
well, I celebrated in the sense that I went away for a few days.
Mhm.
I didn't stay out late or whip it up or anything.
No, but I mean, just give yourself some like a breather. You deserve it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I did. I
Definitely
definitely,
deserve
definitely.
it.
And I plan on doing stuff around the Christmas holiday and stuff too, taking some time to come to
Nice.
myself, do day trips, stuff like that.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
but that was my big goal at the beginning of the year. And I started the year at 727 and it seemed insurmountable. But I was
Mhm.
like, that's unacceptable. Like I will find a way to break this apart in a way that's manageable. So it was this weird yo-yo of like 8 songs at a time. What's left? How many more in this quarter? How many more did I do this month, this week? And it was like this constant like revisiting and reassessing your life
Mhm.
and your goals, but also not pushing past the actual creative process to the point where like I felt I was putting something else I wasn't happy with,
Mhm.
I didn't want it. I didn't want the art to sacrifice for volume either.
Right, right, right.
So I actually went through a period of time where I wasn't publishing anything for about a month and a half. I just sat down 5 days a week and just created ideas. That's all. Like you
Oh,
don't have to
wow.
finish anything. Just make stuff.
Mhm.
Sit there and let whatever's going to pass through you pass through you. And I just go 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 go. Don't even know what genre I was going to do. I just noodle around with one of my pieces of software, switch over, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds cool. Let's do that. And get involved with that. And I ended up doing like 2 or 3 piano tunes. In fact, the year before, around Christmas time, or like 2 or 3 months before Christmas, I had punted the Christmas tunes so much that I was like, all right, I got to sit down. I got to write some stuff. I ended up doing like an unexpected and inadvertent jazz album. In fact, the one I think you stumbled across.
Oh, yeah, I think you
Um,
told me about this, the
yeah,
last time. Yeah,
yeah. And I was like, I'm like, I had no intention of writing this music, but this is what seems to be coming out of me right now. So that's what's going to happen.
and it was awesome.
Yeah. So it's like, you just never know. So I mean, that's the big thing. You have to make space for all
Mhm.
this stuff. And that's the most important. Like now I know I need to make space, period. Even if that means I don't write a thing between now and the end of the year. Doesn't mean I'm done. It means like my creative tank is super, super empty. And
Mhm.
now I need to go have experiences. Me and Kevin McLeod talk about this all the time, that like in order to stay creative, you have to have a series of life experiences that enrich you as a person and a human being. And then when you come back to the keyboard, like a whole different thing comes out of you, because now you've had these other enriching experiences. If I just sat here like a hermit for 10 years, I just write the same damn thing over and over again, you know? So it's important to expand your horizons, to come back and then enrich the art with something new, so that the people that rely on you have something novel and new to listen. Like, oh, you've had an experience because your meditation music sounds different than it did before. Not
Mhm.
bad, just you haven't done articulations like this before, you know?
Mhm.
Which reminds me, I don't think I've ever really asked you about the triple album, the triple compilation or double compilation I released in
Mhm.
June, um the Simplicity and the Complexity albums. I wasn't
Mhm.
sure if any of those were like some of the Complexity stuff, some of those were probably a little too busy and complicated for
Yeah.
Reiki
No,
stuff.
there were several songs that were really great. Some of them were a little bit too so like in my videos, I just feel like I have to use music that's really it's almost like soft,
Mhm.
relaxing. Anything that's going to add any too much like tension to the nervous system, I skip. So some of them were a little bit too much for that, but then there were some ones that I was really surprised that I was able to use. And I'm trying to think of it was a couple of the hang drum ones.
Oh, okay.
I really it was like a vibe that I wasn't expecting.
Mm.
So, yeah, no. There were several great ones on there.
Oh, cool,
Definitely.
cool. No, that's right. I remember you I think via email you had commented on a couple of the hang drum
Mhm,
ones, like, and that was like, again, that was another situation where I'm like, yes, I'm gonna write you some meditation music, and I don't know what's gonna happen. I have to do what comes out of me, you know.
mhm,
And then come to find there's a third thing that I started making, which was the hang drum stuff. And I'm like, oh, there's enough here that I could do like a whole compilation of that. Turns out
mhm,
some of that stuff was really calming, even though it's percussive. It's a very
mhm,
soft percussion, you know?
mhm.
There's some of those patches where the slaps were harder. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna use any of those patches, but I'm gonna use ones that bring you into a state of calm or something, you know? And
Mhm.
I ended up digging some of those too. I was like, oh, I can't drive with these on. I can't drive around with this play, and I'm gonna just kind of zone out, you know?
Right, right. They take you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm actually going to use for an upcoming video that I just recently did about that's the other thing. Like my posting schedule has really changed.
Oh, really?
So yeah, because I used to, believe it or not, like when I first started using your music, I was posting a video a day, a long
Wow.
form video every single day. I did it for a year, over a year.
Oh, that must have been exhausting.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, I was new to YouTube and it was sort of like this. I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna try to do this and commit to it and see where it goes." So I felt really good about doing it and it became just a part of my routine and it also just became something that I enjoyed, but there did come a time when I just couldn't do it anymore and
Yeah.
with all the other things, it just became too much. Just to what we were talking about earlier about listening to the rhythm like your own
Hmm.
rhythm and also making space. Like this year has taught me so much about making space for that creativity and that flow to just channel through as opposed to like having these rigid dialed in expectations.
Yeah.
So yeah, my posting schedule went from like every single day to then I was doing like 4 videos a week. Then it went to two, and most recently, it's been once a week for a
Hmm.
long video, and then some short form in between.
Yeah.
Um, and that was also because I had like a really really hectic few months with some family health stuff too. So
Yeah. I remember you talking to me about that.
yeah, which I
So,
mentioned to you about my mom.
yeah.
So that was sort of like the catalyst for that. But I have to say, like, it's shown me so much about getting into a better rhythm that creates that space. And since changing my schedule around, like so much has come through me in terms of creative stuff and also just transitions and changes about the way that I do the work that I do, like in session with people and in video. So yeah, my point was I'm going kind of off on a tangent, but my posting schedule went from being super often to now it feels so much more less and
Yeah.
kind of sprinkled in. So I'm not getting to use as many songs as I was like several months ago.
Mm.
But I'm I'm working on a video for intuition and for the third eye and the pineal gland. And I'm going to use one of your hang drum songs for
Oh,
that one. I've
cool.
been holding it for a while. So yeah, I
Oh,
have like,
be sure to send me the link. I'll publish it all over my social media for you.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely will. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That'll be
Yeah,
fun to
when you
share.
had sent me those albums, like I was just going through this super busy period with all the family stuff.
Yeah.
So it took me a little bit of time to like get through them, and I'm still organizing and putting stuff together. Like I'm catching up from a few months of like a very, very busy time.
Yeah.
But
Well,
no, there were
well,
definitely several songs there that I liked. And they're the ones that like the more floaty, calming, just the ones that put you in the zone. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. I think what I get is that less percussive and less
Mhm.
um I know that I know now there's I could do a search on your page and see all the ones that you use and that you resonate with now. And there's enough of
Mhm.
a history that I know I could get an idea from several of the tracks. I'm like, okay. So it has to have these elements going forward, because the ones that get a little too mysterious,
Mhm.
they're meditative, but they have a different purpose, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
I love the mysterious ones, like, personally, to like, if I'm gonna sit and meditate and explore my own consciousness, I love that type of thing.
yeah.
But for the videos specifically, I can't really use anything that's a little bit that borders on that mysterious edge. I love that mystical vibe myself, but
Mm,
the energy healing videos have a very specific, I feel like, and I want them to have a very specific impact on the nervous system. So I'm kind of looking for this it feels a little nitpicky, but it's like a certain vibe that I'm always going for. And
yeah.
it has to just land in the heart, in the body, and feel it's almost like a safety thing. Like I'm always looking for this safe, warm, inviting vibe. And sometimes like I'll formulate songs together that sort of take the person on a journey through the
Hmm.
session. But I'm always looking for, especially to start and finish the session, for like a general safe, calming, relaxing. A floaty is good sometimes,
Yeah.
definitely. But you know now what I'm kind of going for. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. And no, I get that, because in essence, as a practitioner of what you do, you're creating a safe space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason you're doing that is because you want whoever's receiving that to feel open and secure in that space to allow that to happen, right? And when we put up our barriers, we put up our walls, we all do, as connected to the universe as we think we are sometimes, we're always like,
Absolutely.
can't show you who I am. That would be vulnerable, you know? So I totally get that. I totally
Mm-hmm.
get that. It's a vibe. The vibe is perfect, and it's not nitpicky. It's not at all. I think that
Thank you.
lends itself to the fact that one of the, I say genres, but it's more like vibrational choices I'm making this coming year when it comes to meditation things, is to focus on frequency based meditation patches.
Interesting.
So, and that may be just incorporating certain frequency tones into the
Mhm.
patch. There's a whole school of thought, and I'm sure you're very well aware of it with with what you do, that various frequencies have different effects on the body and the brain and the spirit,
Absolutely.
right? And getting in there, I'm going to train myself on that and get an understanding of the various frequencies and how they can help, and then probably make compilations based on ranges. So like stuff in the 80 to 120 hertz range would be like for this kind of curative purpose, but
Mm-hmm.
also have it as like an underlying tones or underlying strings or something at that low frequency, but then have something floaty or calming over the top of it, so that
Hmm.
we're not just listening to tones, we're actually listening to something enjoyable, but the tone is present underneath everything. So
Yeah, I love
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
I feel like that might also be a good, I don't know. I mean, I'm very much a novice when it comes to the algorithm still, trust me, but I feel like that could be a good angle to go on YouTube too, or at least to try,
Mm,
experiment with it, because some of those frequency music channels, they like do really well. And
yeah.
maybe it's like anything else. But I thought you had in the throwback Tim Kulik library like a while ago. I thought you had a couple frequency tracks too.
Yeah, I did some binaural beats.
Y-
So
Yeah, I
I did
think
some,
there's like a theta sub stomach or something. I
yeah,
can't
yeah,
remember.
yeah. Oh, you're right on the
Am
money.
I right? Am I on?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. Um, it was a whole theta album, which had the binaural beat had a variance of a certain amount of hertz. So again, I have to look at the list. I don't have it in
Yeah.
front of me,
Yeah.
but there's like alpha, beta, delta, theta
Hmm.
patterns, and they all have to do with how different each tone is on each ear. And the ideal way to listen to it is in a set of headphones because it creates that phase transfer, and
Hmm.
the note in the middle right here is the difference between the two, and your brain does that calculation. It's moving in that place and it's making that resolution. So I did the first album I did with that was just the tones, and it was super
Really?
super like basic. It was like
Okay.
something you could throw in the background and nothing very music or melodic about it whatsoever. And then after I did that first album, I was like, maybe I should do one that has like meditation beds over the top of it, and it's a tone in the background. So you feel it, but you also don't feel like it's like the difference between taking a muscle relaxer and going to a massage therapist, right?
Hmm.
Muscle relaxer is going to do the thing, but it's very, very isolated. It's very specific. Massage
Hmm.
therapist is going to work with your body and figure out, where the tension is, where the muscles are, you know, crossed over each other, work through the fight, like, be more surgical about the process. And I think
Hmm.
that's more the style of music that I'm thinking to do by exploring it again. And it's been a while. It's been like, I think 2 years
Nice.
ago I did that. And I saw that there's some other, like you said, there's some other content creators out there that seem to do really well with it. And it may even spawn me to open up a new YouTube channel and just see like, oh, maybe I'll get this thing to gain some traction. And I'll just post to this one a couple times a month with new tracks and see what
Right.
goes on
That's
there.
true. That would be a good experiment or like exploration to do
Yeah.
too. What is your feeling about that while we're on this topic in terms of, so I know you're saying that YouTube doesn't really, is having a tough time figuring out your exact niche because you do a lot of different things under one umbrella. And I noticed
Yeah.
like some channels do really well with that. I love how you can incorporate the podcast, the music, some of the behind the scenes. Like I think that's really neat. But I also understand that the algorithm is specific.
Right. Right.
What is your feeling about having more than one channel? Like, do you like to have it all in one, or would you consider doing more than one channel? I thought about that too, because I've seen some content creators that I think have one channel, and
Hmm.
then I realize that they have like 6 or 7 channels. And I'm like, oh my
Right.
goodness, how did they do this?
Yeah. Well, they need what I've basically resolved myself to the reality of, and a month ago have acquired, which is a social media manager.
Okay. So you
I've
started it? You
Yeah,
started
yeah,
with them?
yeah.
Oh,
I
awesome.
have somebody that's working with me. Her name's Liz, and
Nice.
she's helping me build content, starting out with specifically revisiting and recelebrating the whole catalog. So going back into
Oh,
the whole catalog and bringing that to light in a bunch of shorts. So over the course of the next year, I will have an enormous amount of content released on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And the
awesome.
idea being that, I mean, case in point, I think I used you as a reference. You knew I made meditation music because you came across it years
Mhm.
ago on the collective platform that I used to be on.
Yep.
And then like about a year ago, you were like, I didn't know you made jazz.
Right.
I didn't know you made a lot of this stuff. Like I started looking at all your album covers on your new website. I didn't know you did all this. I'm like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, like this is a giant library I'm building over time. And then it's like because of that, I was like, okay, get everything in place, get to the 1,000, and then I'm gonna pull the trigger and I'm gonna get somebody to help promote all this. And
Mhm.
then, over the course of a couple of years, it's really gonna pop because that's I think the key with my channel, my kitchen sink channel,
Mhm.
is consistency and volume. You know, if they don't like the occasional post that they don't know where to put. Well, if you're getting a short practically every day and then you're getting long form twice a week, well, now you have something that you can you can pan against. You know what I mean? You
Right.
can
Like a
figure out like, oh,
baseline.
okay, you
Yeah.
here's all this content, and now because that's another thing too is volume. I'm sure you were getting a lot of biofeedback when you're posting daily, you know?
Mm,
And I honestly,
absolutely.
looking at your channel from the beginning of the year to now, I don't know that it's really affected growth by slowing down, because it seems that you're still getting picked up and you still have a net gain over time of channel followers.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's ironic to me. So they always, I don't know who they is. I mean, like the videos that you would watch to learn about the algorithm,
Mm,
or even I get these emails like on an email list from vidIQ, and they always say that the frequency that you post at has nothing to do with the amount of views that you're getting, which I have found to be completely untrue.
right, right.
Just in my personal experience, because every time I change my posting schedule, my views dip
Yeah,
100%. It's just unequivocally true at this point.
right.
So I feel that every time, and I'm trying to, this is the other thing. The other piece is I'm trying to incorporate more topic and discussion videos. And
Mm,
I would have done that a lot sooner, but it's just my schedule with my mom's thing and everything was, hectic for a while. So now I have tons and tons of it. In terms of like creativity, it's been flowing through me a lot this year, especially over the past few months. And I'm really going to be dedicating more time to editing and posting like topic and discussion videos, and something that I've been feeling the call to do for so long, and I'm finally prioritizing it.
yeah.
But
Well, I can tell
even
you
that,
here, this
yeah.
this platform, even if you're only doing your own content and you're doing a monologue,
Hmm.
it's amazing how it picks up through the transcript the important the pull, the takeaways
Hmm.
from even a one person narrative. It's just amazing. I'll do weekly updates when I don't have somebody like yourself or Tom on,
Hmm.
and I'll sit there and talk about the updates or whatever, and then bring up some industry things or some philosophy behind what keeps me going, and what keeps me feeling creative and motivated. And even though, like, working for yourself, as you can, I'm sure you would agree with me, is the urgency has to be created by yourself. and
Oh, absolutely.
and it's so much more discipline than anything else. Like, that's
Hmm.
success is through discipline. Like, I don't care how good you are at making music. I don't care how good of a Reiki practitioner you are. If you're
Hmm.
consistent with what your efforts are, you're going to be successful. It just,
Absolutely.
it just, when that, as long as you're flexible, at least in my case with the music, as long as you're flexible on the timeline of when things start to pop,
Hmm.
which they have. I mean, I've seen, in a very short period of time, some significant uptick in usage. And that's really like that's my first and foremost.
Hmm.
It's value add music in end users' hands that don't have to pay a royalty, right? That's
Yeah.
the definition of royalty free. It's royalty free to the end user. And having the feedback that I've gotten in the last, I mean, even like in the last year, between like random payments via PayPal and people reaching out of nowhere via email and just being like, Liz, I just got to tell you, I've been using your stuff for like the last couple of years. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much. And just out of nowhere, unprovoked, unsolicited, just people reaching out and just saying thanks. And it's like, okay, the system works,
Hmm.
and
And that must feel so good too, right? Like it makes it
it's,
all, brings it all together.
I've had, emails back that literally like the day or two before you have these periods as an artist of self-doubt,
Mhm.
I mean,
Oh,
anybody that tells you they don't, they're lying. They're absolutely lying, and they're putting
a
up a false
million
facade.
percent.
I have existential crises several times a year, because sometimes you feel like you're just creating and posting into a void, and you don't get the response that you're looking for. And then boom, it's almost like the universe is like, nope, I'm going to dangle that carrot and you're on the right path. Just keep doing what you're doing.
We
You're
all
supposed
do.
to be sharing. Yeah, you're supposed to be sharing this thing with the world, man. So keep it up. Keep what you're doing. You're on the right path. Just
Mhm.
do it for yourself first. That's the authenticity. Are you happy doing what you're doing? And I can see that in your videos. You clearly care about what you do.
Absolutely.
And I think that's
Absolutely. And
that's
I
the
feel like
thing you have
because
to
it
come
had
back
such
to.
an effect on me, like it's because it's so personal to me, just like
Hmm.
music is personal to you. Like it it just makes all the difference when you're doing something that you're actually driven by from some internal force. And that's the thing, like you were saying, that discipline is everything when you're working for yourself. And especially when you're creating content or building a platform on one of these platforms,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you could, like you said, you could have all this skill, or you could even have this insight or this solution to something, but it could be the thing that so many people are looking for. But if you don't have the discipline and sort of like that masculine containment, that energy to hold that creative force that's flowing through, if you don't have the structure and the ability to post and the ability to show up consistently, nobody's going to know about it. So
Right. Right.
it's so important, and it's so easy. Like, this has happened to me many times on my YouTube journey. It's so easy to go through those periods of doubt or even burnout. You know, you feel like a little bit of posting fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or I think that all content creators who like genuinely care about what they're creating are artists in a way. So we're all vulnerably expressing our art in some way.
Yeah.
No matter how that is. Everybody's a little bit different, but we're all vulnerably um sort of offering ourselves up to the world in this way. And that's that requires a process, like a growth process, a constant growth process, and also just a level of authenticity and like alignment and integrity
Yeah.
that few other things I think require. Like, it still shocks me how much it's required of me to show up on a platform like this. Like, all
Mm-hmm.
of the inner work and the inner shifts and the mindset and this and that, and all the revelations I've had because of it too. But there's been so many times where I felt burnt out or fatigued and tired or questioning myself. And I think that that's so natural. Like you said, if you keep following that call that's coming, if you keep doing the thing, it's eventually going to be, I hate to use terminology like rewarded, because I don't
Yeah.
necessarily look at it that way, but it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
if you do something enough, it's going to happen. And sometimes it takes a lot of those moments where you're just totally questioning yourself, or wondering, like, is this actually in alignment? Is this actually what I want? But the beauty of that is there's such a relationship that you're forming with yourself at the time. And
Yeah.
there's so much clarity and alignment going on internally. Like, I feel like the content creation process, or the process of building a brand, is one of the most transformative things that you can do.
You're putting yourself out there for the
Yeah,
world to see, right? Like, what good would these tracks do on my sitting on my computer,
right.
you know? And then I pass away and they've never been shared with anybody. Well, that's just a
Hmm.
travesty, you know? And,
Absolutely.
I mean, they're not for everybody. I get that. But for the people that are looking for it, for my tribe to never have received it, would really
Hmm.
suck. That would really suck. And honestly, some of the best things I've ever written are due to discipline. I'm
Hmm.
just like, okay, Monday, Friday, you know, the first couple out when I'm consistent about it and it's time to be creative and to write and to ideate. I'll sit down and be like, nothing else exists. I'm going to sit down, and even if I don't get anything happening in 2 hours, well, I'll be noodling around and I'll explore new and there's always a positive, right? I'm
Hmm.
exploring some new software or some older software that I haven't touched in a while and get into it invariably like 75% of the time. Like, maybe the first track, the first thing I'm messing around, like, it's all right. Let's save it. Maybe we'll come back to it. Clears the palette, pick up something else. Second or third is usually when it's like, what is this? And then it's like, hold the phone, like, get my phone out of here, like, get like any distraction out of here. Whatever's happening right now, this is where I am. Like, I
Hmm.
am present right now to whatever this is. And I'll take it as far as it goes. Sometimes it's 15 minutes worth of writing. Sometimes it's 2 hours and I have a full completed piece that I could master at that point and publish right there. Like, it's that good. And it's just making space, you know, the discipline of making space for the creative process to come through you. And I